Holy Spirit, you bless the first disciples with the power to spread God's love throughout the world. Give us a new power to proclaim your words through our own unique gifts and through the channels of clear communication. Make us willing to receive that word as it enters our daily lives. Bless all who use their talents in the field of communication. Guide those who send out the message and those who receive it, so that all people may come to know you truth and be renowned by your love. We ask this through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Sylvia, let me give you the floor. Well, first of all, welcome, and also welcome Sister Maria. Very well, thank you. I am delighted to meet you after a few months. Well, this time, if I understood correctly, I was asked to share with you a few reflections, a few hints on the sense and the best way to build a website. Isn't that right, Romina? In view, maybe, of building your own website as a congregation. So let us, we'll focus on some common joint guidelines, and so that in the future, you can decide how to review your website. So I will try and give you a few general hints on websites in general today, in today's digital communication scene. And then we have to say that a website is very personal, because it's as if it were your house, your digital house, your headquarters, like the congregations generate, but in a digital format. So clearly, there are no one-size-fits-all rules, because everyone has its own house, its own headquarters, has to express, in this case, who we are as a congregation. I do not know if I'm clear. However, there are some general guidelines to bear in mind, so that the website can be appropriate for the digital world of this day and age. I have anyway prepared a few slides. If you give me the possibility to share my screen, I will do so. No, just one moment, because I have to share everything. Can you see my screen? Okay. I know that the translators didn't receive anything beforehand, so I'll try and speak slowly. Anyway, if there are problems, please let me know. Now, as I told you, the website today, in today's digital world, what is its purpose? Because we talked about social networks during the past formations. So we talked about social networks, we talked about the graph design, the videos, and so on and so forth. So we address the many themes which are not strictly connected to a website. So, as I told you, the website is our business card, what used to be a business card. So it has to be representative of who we are. And then there are many websites in the sense that there can be websites for newspapers, for instance. Then that is a different category. The goal of a newspaper's website is to provide news. Then there can be websites of shops selling products, and they can be shops online. That's again another category which sells products, but for organizations and also for a reality like us, like the congregation, we talk first of all of an institutional website. That is your business card. It is your home, your headquarters. The website is absolutely necessary in the digital world because you cannot have an organization without any headquarters or without a business card, without anything. But that is not enough. The website today, among millions and billions of websites, is very hard to visit unless a digital communication work is done from the onset, so which makes it easier for people to visit our websites so that they can land to our website from our social networks. This is normally the process. People meet on social networks, in chats, chat groups, in all these places, and then we invite them at home. We tell, so they come, they land to our website. And at that point, it is important for them to see a very nice house. It is important for them to recognize us for who we are, and that they do not see something that is at loggerheads with what they saw on the social networks. That is why the website and the social networks have to be connected, and they have to be consistent with one another. So as I said earlier, it is absolutely necessary to have a good website, but it is not enough because it will, the website alone will not lead to anything, because no visitor will visit your website unless he or she is captured somewhere else. And this is what I can tell you. I do not know whether you agree with this statement. It is also important not to have too many different websites, because otherwise people will get confused. They will not understand what your home is, what your house is. Doesn't mean that a website can have cannot have more websites, but at least all the various websites have to be connected to the main website. Let us try to go on. So, all right, there are thousands, billions of websites on the web in the digital world today. How can we make it interesting, pleasant, irresistible? First of all, a technical element, which is fundamental, is that the website has to be responsive. What do I mean? It has to be adaptable to every device, for the telephone, smartphone, tablets, because most of the people will read your website from the smartphone or from a tablet. There will be very few people who will come visit your website from a computer, most especially if they discovered you through the social networks, or if they are linked to your website from an article. Today, all the new websites, no matter what software they're created with, they are already responsive, which means that they are already readable from a telephone or a tablet. Being responsive doesn't simply mean to see the website a bit smaller on a smartphone, but it means that the system adapts the website to the telephone, showing things in a different way, which means that things are optimized in order to be read through a telephone from a telephone. It would be nice to try and see if your website, the website that you have at the moment, is responsive. I have not made any tests. Did you make a test? Let me see, let me try. Have you ever read your website from a smartphone? It should be responsive. Let's see. All right, first of all, we have the Facebook pages. So here it is, I found it. So let's see, let's go to the Italian. Yes, yes, it's quite clear to see. You have the cookies. All right, yes. Even though in reality, you have a long article on page 1, and so it presents this long article on page 1. Anyway, so this is the first most important aspect, especially if you have several sections in the future website. Another thing that needs to be borne in mind for the visualization from telephone is the area that can be reached through your thumb, because when you hold your telephone, you can only use your thumb. So the things that you deem more important should be placed on where people can touch the screen when they have their phone in their hands. So the most important things, the things that we want our visitors to explore must be in the green areas, basically, because you would place them in the corners and so on. The users, the visitors, will need 2 hands. And at times, well, people do not want to do that, so they will just quit the website because unfortunately, well, we had already talked about this in the past, because unfortunately, we find ourselves confronted with people who have a very short attention span. We're talking about 6 seconds. Today surfers, but all the people who are online, who surf the net, but we too, I mean, our attention span is very, very short. So also with our website, on our website, but also in our articles, in our posts, we have to be able to say things in a very clear and simple way very quickly. Otherwise, we lose the attention of people. Then once we captured our readers' attention, we can propose many in-depth articles, but the first contact, the first moment, the first contact is the most important one. So the first 6 seconds. Let us also consider that people do not read sequentially. So for instance, if the article is very long, and like the article that you have on your first page, in your current website, does not help our readers because the article is long, and very likely after some time, a very short time, and the reader will get distracted. People read depending on the graphic elements, so the pictures, the highlighted words, short sentences. These things are the things that capture a reader's attention, so they have to be as clear as possible and as few as possible. Another element is that many readers today seek useful elements. For instance, in your case, something useful is to know where you are. If someone wants to get in touch with you, or if anyone wants to know how to get in touch with you, if they want to talk to you, or if they want to learn what services you offer. These are things that for a reader who doesn't know you or who gets to know you through the website are quite useful. So substantially, I think that there are 3 keywords today for website, which are simplicity. The easier they are, the easier they are to understand and to read in 6 seconds. So they have to be easy and clear, and somehow they have to be trustworthy. We said this many times during the formation path. As people do not meet us physically, so they have not seen us, so they have not known us in person, we need to build more trust. We need to help them trust us with other means which are not the physical encounter. So as we already said, for the social media, that is why it is very important to put the faces of the sisters, and in our case, on the website to show who we are, concretely to show that you are people that do certain things. So those who have access to your website need to trust you. So in general terms, what are the advices? Well, simplicity is the first keyword, and simplicity is connected to a very minimalist graphic design, what we had already seen for the cards. As there is so much chaos on the web today, but also for the type of reality that you are, because maybe a younger group or a music band, they would communicate other things. Color, chaos would be good, but for a congregation of sisters who communicate more the merciful face, the maternal face of the mercy of Christ, the first communication goal that we gave ourselves for anyway, if you wanted to communicate peace and so on, well, you should not put too much chaos. You'd better put something very linear, very simple. There are many websites today that work on these, also not religious websites. You can also be minimalist with many colors and with many things, but what matters is that there are images that are quite impactful and clear phrases, not too many things. There are also some techniques which are now are used, for instance, the use of bold types, because they help reading. So the eye of the person is actually captured by these elements. So they will read those sentences written in a different way. These are not things that you need necessarily to do, but this is simply to show you some techniques, some methods which are used to build attracting websites. There are some fundamental sections, in my view, for a website that is adapted to the digital era. First of all, this is something that you can find in the whole digital world, is that you need to talk through images, or as we said, to talk through graphic elements. Now, I took this image because I really liked it. It doesn't, so this is an old image, but that is very impactful, an image of joy. Now, talking with images is very helpful because people only have 6 seconds of attention span, and the first impact is the visual impact. Also, please bear in mind that people think around 8% of what they retain, 10% of what they hear, and 80% of what they see. Basically, we have a visual memory. So what we see it really captures our attention. So images are important. So the exceptions are those that define the identity and the activity of the body. Now, to define the activity and the identity of the body of the organization, well, we have to use very few sentences. Then we can use photos and videos, and then we can put all this, the other things, the statute, the documents, other materials after, and they should all be connected to that. And another very important element is a geolocalization, where we are located. Let's see some examples. For instance, here you can see example of an organization. No, sorry. It is a cooperation organization called Charity Water. Now, this is not their homepage, but it is the About Us part, so who we are. Well, in reality, it is very simple graphically, but what do they do? In a sentence, it says what their purpose, what their mission is, who they are, and what they do. So Charity Water is a non-profit organization bringing clean and safe drinking water to people in developing countries. So it's a non-profit, it brings clean water and safe drinking water to people in developing countries. So you see, I can read it in less than 6 seconds. So hopefully everyone will read this sentence. Then they put a very beautiful photo and then the data on everything that they do, how many projects they did, how many people they served, the number of countries they're present in. This is a very common way for organizations today to create websites. That is to put data, to show data, because data can be read very quickly, but they immediately give you an idea of the size of the organization. This is a large organization because they work in 29 countries with nearly 65,000 projects, 12 million people touched. Well, of course, these data have to be true and also documented in the website, in other sections of the website. But in the meantime, in just a few seconds, I know who they are, what they do, how much they work, their size. And here again, in a few lines, they tell me why, what their goal is, why they work on water. And then you connect it to the other sections on the website. Not only that, but we also have a page that introduces their group. In this case, is the executive group. So the founder, this is very famous. And here you have a link to his personal story. This connects to what we said in many things, that is to put our face, to put the face of people involved, that they did so. So their face, their story, and so on. And if you look at the website of several organizations, well, this is present everywhere. Then you have all their elements, and then it is also very engaging style. Change the world with us, it tells us. Which makes you want to change the world with them and donate. So this is just an example of a structure. And then they also have fundraising, and we'll see that later on. my view, what really matters is to be able to explain who you are in a few lines, and also to have an impactful image that represents you. I also like this website, I'm sure that you know it, because I think that it is very in line with the previous one, but it is very close to you. I did not connect it directly to the slides, so let me look for it here. Here again, you have the section Who We Are, About Us, of the Franciscan friars. First of all, you see this is a wonderful photo. I don't know, what sort of feelings can you feel watching this photo? I mean, you watch this photo and what happens? What is the idea that comes to your mind about these friars? What do you think about these friars looking at this photo? No one wants to say anything. Now, looking at this photo, I can feel the joy that they have. Well, certainly it's a joyful photo. They are surrounded by people. There are wonderful colors, wonderful sun, they're playing. And again, playing is a way to express worship and joy. Certainly, this picture was chosen for a purpose. Anyway, the photo is very important. The opening photo is important because in 1 second, I really understand something. Well, it is something that happens in your subconscious. It is not rational because the images, the graphic design, colors, they work on your subconscious. And then I can write 1,000 things, but you know what? Writing works on our rational mind, but the subconscious is much stronger than our rational mind. So if I have an idea at the subconscious level, I can read 200 pages on Franciscan friars, but the idea that I already have is there and it's hard to change. This is simply to help you understand the importance of the elements. So picture the elements are very, very important because they immediately work on your subconscious, and then all the texts, they're useful, but it takes much more time for them to be fully understood. So, all right, so they also have this shape, this rounded shape, which is a shape that is quite welcoming. This is something that you also gave yourself as a goal. You want to give an idea, not of rigidity, of strictness, but rather you want to give this idea of welcoming. In fact, this curve is very much used in these cases. So this is what they do. Then they explain with images and very short texts what the order does, its mission, the various items on the mission, and then they also have the story, a very short one, and then if they are interested, if you're interested, you can click on find out more. Well, very few will do that, but at least they will read these initial lines. Then they continued with photos and Francis. They also developed a timeline on Francis' life, then the rule. And here, so you have everything, but in very short pieces. And then if you want, sorry, there's a mosquito flying around me. And then if you want, you can just, you know, go deeper by clicking on the various links. I think that this is a very nice example, very well made. And also there's another aspect, which in my view is very interesting, which is, I think, yeah, it's here under contacts. No? If we go to the home page, you find the different sections, and this is also a style that is often used to have this sort of blocks. So here you have the various languages, and is also something nice. No, this is what we saw earlier. I had seen they also have a very nice map with all the places where they are present. Let's see. No, it's not there. I cannot find it, but I found it immediately earlier. Oh, and they also have an inner portal. There's another aspect that could be interesting. In who we are, in About Us, you have provinces. So under Order, no, under About Us, our provinces, there you go. So About Us. Well, as you, it should be easier because my 6 seconds have already lapsed. And I've already grown bored. But let's see, let's continue. How come it doesn't appear anymore? So, okay, provinces. Because this was similar to the problem that you have, that is to show where you are in your different provinces. So they found the solution. So I go, I do not know, North America. And here I have the list of all the sections, also with the context for that province. So in this case, they also have websites of the individual regions of the individual provinces, and then they also have an email. And so on. South America, you have South American, then Africa, Europe. I think that this could also be something to consider for you because you're present in many parts of the world. I think that you could do also something better than this because, for instance, the places where you are located could directly appear when you click on the region of the world. I do not think that you need to have many other websites. I mean, you should only build a website if you really need it, because otherwise it is a major work. But you should provide your email, or I don't know, you should provide a WhatsApp. If you had a WhatsApp number, that would be great, because nowadays we use messages more than emails. So you should have and also an address so that people know where you are actually located, where they can find you. So I thought that this was interesting to share with you. So that was another example that doesn't really have to do with sisters and friars, but let me show you. This was simply to give you an idea of how our story part can be important, because they simply, this website sells hammocks, but these hammocks are handmade by local populations in countries of the south of the world. They therefore respect the environment, the dignity of workers, and so on. So they describe themselves in a very nice way. So you have a video. And here again, you see the curved shapes that are moving because they simulate the hammock. So once again, subconsciously, you have the message of the hammock. You cannot hear the sound, but doesn't matter. So you have this wonderful video so that they can, show how these hammocks are made, the materials, the people that work in them. And I think that this is very interesting also, even if the idea is only to sell a hammock. And also here you have a very short stories, and then you can learn more. So also in this case, they show how through their work, they also help producers, that is these local populations, develop, can have better living conditions. Here again, you can read the personal story of a worker, how this woman improved her living conditions thanks to this job. And here you see highlighted sentences. You see these highlighted sentences in a different color. So your eyes are caught by this. Then you have pictures, short texts. And these sentences, they are quite motivational. And then, and so on. And then, so the goal is for people to buy a hammock. Of course, here again, what do? They let us meet some of their weavers with pictures, their stories. So once again, they show their faces, and you can also read their full stories. Very nice photos. Here we have a strong use of colors, but this is also part of the message. And here you can get to know the whole team. I do not know if I've already given you a few ideas, because I mean, these forms of telling who we are, these ways of telling who we are very engaging. I really like the curve or the wave that moves. I didn't do that on purpose because I mean, not every website has to have this wave, but all of these websites have a wave, maybe because they are quite similar in style. I had not thought about this wave, this curve, as an element that gives the sense of softness that you have in a hammock. So you see here, you can see this symbol, that is the chat box. Now, in this case, well, of course, this is a website selling hammocks. So all the websites selling something, services, objects or whatever, well, nowadays they all have a chat box to chat with clients, because, or maybe we had already talked about this, people prefer, it is proven that people prefer to buy from websites with whom they can chat. And we are talking about very high percentages. If they do not have a direct contact, they buy less. But in general, being able to chat, having a relationship with someone through the website is an added value, a very important one nowadays. Because for the reasons that we said earlier, because people want to meet people as real as possible. and this website has this, the websites, the friars do not have a chat box, because then you will need to find someone to manage that. But if they had that, it would be often used, I'm sure. But we will go back to the chat later on. So we said the pictures, the fundamental parts are who we are, what we do, and where we are. Those are the sections where you can find us. Then there are also other important parts, in my view, which are the contacts with our users that can be configured as a form for contacts and proposals. Or for instance, I want to get in touch with you. I want to live an experience with the sisters. I don't know, a form. I mean, there should be a place where people can contact you as soon as possible, as fast as possible, because nowadays people are used to real-time contacts. So if you answer a month later, well, that will certainly not help. So you need to get organized. The second point is a link to social networks. This is vital, most especially in your case, because now, well, more or less, you have social networks in all the provinces. So a website should be connected to everyone's social networks. So for instance, when we saw here the on this website, the map with the various regions where the friars are located, well, instead of you know, including website, if you do not, of the province, if you do not have one, you could include a Facebook page or an Instagram account, so that the people who want to follow your pages and to want to know what you do, because they live in that region, they can follow you on your social media. Because you will never be able to put on a website all of your activities, because you do so many things. They're so diverse in Africa, South America, and Europe. It would be impossible. But a website can be a place from which people then can find you on the territory locally, and they can discover your activities. The social media so can have this function. Or you might have a local website. I do not know, you will decide this, but there has to be a contact so that people can contact you, and also the possibility to follow you, to follow your daily activities. And I think that social media are great for this, but there has to be a link to your social networks from the website, because otherwise things will not work. So you will need to have a link to the institutional social network, because you also have the Facebook page of the whole congregation and also the Instagram account. No, on the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. All right, so Facebook page and YouTube channel of the whole congregation, they will be connected. There will be a link to these social networks on your institutional website. And then you also will need to connect your local social networks to the institutional website. And then I would also put where you are located in your home page, on the website's home page. It has to be easy to see where you are. And then the live chat. That could be a possibility to get in touch easily, smartly, in a modern way through the website. For instance, we included the chat only a short while ago, maybe a year ago, because earlier we had the traditional forms, send an email, fill in the form, and this sort of thing. But since we put in the chat, everyone gets in touch through the chat. They no longer send emails. It doesn't really change much, because honestly, we are not always connected to, manage the chat. But if you're not connected to the chat, when you receive a message, then that message is transformed into an email and you can answer that later. Psychologically and emotionally, however, the fact that people have a chat available, and then if you are connected to the chat and respond immediately, but it really gives the people the idea that there are people, real people, that visitors to your website can talk with directly. Another element, well, maybe this is not really interesting to you. I do not think that you want to collect funds, to raise funds through your website. I don't know. We never talked about it, actually. However, there are many websites which are actually structured around this goal. Romina, do you want to say something? No, we have never done this. However, we have a mission service with some projects, a project development office, but we need to actually disseminate this knowledge. Well, in general, let me tell you a couple of things. If you also want to collect money through the website, it is vital that this button, Donate Now, is actually seen clearly. So you see, this was always present also on the website on water. And if you click on that button, it must be very easy to do donations. Let's see this website. It is the website of Greenpeace. Greenpeace now has done this. Their website is really donation-oriented, fundraising-oriented. Here you see that they have a payoff or a sort of buzzword, which is very impactful, very short, wonderful pictures. And in less than 6 seconds, I am already involved, even though they're very famous, so it's clearly easier. But you see, they've also put in this thing very large on their homepage to collect funds and to immediately give the possibility to donate. Then if you scroll down, you see the various sections so that you can actually get involved. So what they do, they fight against environmental crimes. We do research and we propose solutions. We inform and mobilize people and communities. They have summarized in just 3 lines everything that they do. So everything is focused on fundraising. Let's click on donate. Donate now. It obliges me, you see, to fill in all the fields. So you have to make monthly or yearly donations. Well, never mind. So but let's go back to the other website. Let's see what happens if we go to donate. They're a bit, they have a softer approach here. You can choose how much you want to give. Here you have the possibility to give once or monthly. This is a solution that is always easy and useful, because if you can find even a few people that have a monthly a donation, that means that people will continue to donate over time. Now, I think that it will be as easy as possible to pay. There must be several possibilities to pay, so credit card, a bank transfer, if you use Satispay or digital money, you know, there should not simply be one payment way. You should have PayPal, credit card, various form, you know, several things. And that has to be everywhere in the website if we want to collect funds. Maybe it's not your case, I don't know. But maybe you need to find a specific website in a province and specific for a specific project. And then in that case, that would need to be focused more on donations. So a fundraising oriented website should have a donate button in every page, a simple format for donations. There can also be widgets for donations. These are small softwares that can be added to the website. They're needed to show how many other people have already donated. In some cases, this is useful because that encourages the fact of seeing that others have donated and to participate in a collective action. If instead I am, I don't know, the first one donating, you could feel intimidated. So several websites are using these widgets. They are small plugins, some softwares that can be added to the website to create these boxes where they explain the fundraising, and it is possible to see how many people donated and how much money is still needed to reach the goal. So we need, I don't know, 5,000 euros. So I explain the project. I started the fundraising a little by little. People can monitor how things are evolving. And then there are more experiential websites or experience-based. Well, I will go very quickly about this because I do not think that, I mean, to have this sort of website, you need a lot of money. For instance, this website, Door made a website where you make a trip to discover where bananas are produced, how they're produced. Maybe we can see that there, but it takes really a lot of money, a huge investment. I mean, you can visit a plantation, basically. I know they changed it. Just hold on. Well, earlier I could get in directly. There was a website, there was a video. How come they're asking the code now? Well, never mind. Cannot find it. Well, earlier you could go in. Maybe this is not the right. Well, you could find the website, a video that allowed you to visit the plantation. Well, if I can find it, I will send it to you. Anyway, I think it is a little bit too complex. It is very engaging because when I watched it, it's as if you actually were made an immersive trip. You see the plantation, you see the workers on the plantation, you receive all the information. It is augmented reality. So now the live chat, we talked about it. And one last thing, which is a bit technical, there is also the problem of visibility of the website on the search engines, because in the past, people worked through keywords. Now, a form, something that is used by many, is to create what are called topic clusters. So not one website with many keywords, but several websites, several landing pages that are connected through links. And these links that connect the various pages or the different mini websites give visibility, because the research research engines recognize the topics that are connected to one another. Also, very large organizations opted recently for this sort of formulas. It could also be something to take into consideration, even though it requires a lot of work and coordination. Now, among the small things that we can do to make the website more visible is creating a frequently asked questions page. I do not know how and about what in your case, but for many other organizations, it is easy because it helps the search engines to connect the questions that users make with what they can find on your website. Because nowadays, users and also you no longer search for keywords, but you search a sentence. How can you cook the Easter cake? So you Google that and you have a series of things. So it is called web semantics. So you do not search keywords, but you search these sentences. So if you want your websites to be more visible, you can do that. You can also use and update Google My Business. So you can collect our SLD on Google. It is a procedure that helps the visibility of the website. So if the website has all of these places where you're present indicated, and if those places are also on Google, that helps visibility. And also the contents for the vocal research are becoming more and more important, because many people now, they make their searches not by writing, but by saying it with their phone, with vocal assistants and that sort of thing. So these are things that we can also bear in mind. I do not know whether I have given you enough, if I confused your ideas even more. Do you have any questions, considerations? Did you fall asleep? I think that there are many things that we need to do to create a website. Many things that we have to consider so that we can have enough visitors. And while you were talking, I said it is something that we cannot and should not do alone. We need to have a team to think about how we can actually do this thing. Well, in reality, it's easier than you might think, because if you bear in mind these indications, so simplicity, clarity of what you said, building trust, these are the 3 keywords. And therefore, if you work well in creating the part on who we are, what we do, where you can find us, then the website can be very easy. It should not be a complex website. However, the most part of the work is the communication part behind a website. I mean, technically speaking, the website can be very, very simple because it has 3 sections with some text, pictures, and so on. But you need to consider to think about these very carefully with the right sentences, the right photos and so on. Yes, and also the chat. If we want it to really be something that works, you also need to have someone that is connected to answer the needs. Because answering a month later, well, maybe people do not even recall what sort of question they asked. Right, exactly. In that case, there should be 1 or 2 people that are available. Normally, the chat can be connected to the phone, as we have it. So if someone writes, the people that actually man the chat can answer directly from the phone. So it doesn't mean that you need to spend the whole day on your computer waiting for someone to write, but you have to, yes, have a solution of this type. What is the security? Because there are so many hackers, and when we have the donate button, I see that many people always say, you know, that many people use their web, stole money from their websites, or even stole their identity to receive funds, and therefore their donations went to, let's say, rogue organizations. So what can we do to also protect ourselves? Now, if you want to connect a donation system to your website, but there are some professional systems. I mean, these are not things that can be done individually. The only thing that we can do is to create the website, donate now, the description, and so on. And then you connect the payment systems, which are the same ones that you can find in banks. The most well-renowned website is used for all the websites is called the Stripe. It's like a POS when you pay, you know, with your credit card. And this is something that is very safe. And then if any hacker manages to crash the system, I mean, this responsibility is not does not lie with the website, but with the system. I mean, payments are never done on something that is yours. They are already developed by these systems. So you will have all these safety codes. Stripe is the most famous. Also, PayPal is another system that is safe, absolutely safe. So these systems are very, very safe. And then there were many cases also, for instance, some banks were even robbed, but I mean, it's easier. I don't know that maybe what could happen is that someone creates a false account on a social network, or someone may use your passwords to pretend that it's you. But with regards to payment systems, well, it's very, very difficult. You have to be a really very good hacker, because these are super hyper protected systems. I mean, we have payment systems because all the organizations that work with us collect funds, we do formation, and we offer services. People pay us we've never had any problems with payments because we do not manage them. Basically, simply we connected our website to payment systems. Right, thank you. But these fake websites that steal money from you, is there any way where you can actually discover them when they're, you know, taking your money? Well, that's difficult. Isn't there anything that we can do with Visa? Or, I don't know, we should consider this carefully because maybe there might be elements of something that makes you understand that a certain website is not a real website. That is why it is important to build trust, because people need to be able to see your faces and so on. So clearly it cannot be a fake website if there are your faces and if you can be recognized and people know how to get in touch with you. Because there were cases in which it was not so, and people had to trust you. Also in the case of you are a congregation. So I mean, anyone can also could let's say build a fake congregation to steal money. Maybe that could be done, who knows. But if you put your faces where you are, your contacts, your stories and so on, I mean, people will understand that you are real. Thank you. Oh, I had a wonderful idea. I will open a fake congregation of sisters and I will collect some funds online. All right, do you have any other questions? Romina, I do not know whether we had a specific goal that we wanted to say goodbye with, or simply whether we simply wanted to know how websites work. Well, I have a question, actually. And then, well, yes, the goal was simply to give us common elements. So when after the chapter, when, I mean, the people who will work on the new website, maybe we will think of a team or an organization that involves more sisters, and at least we will have heard the same thing in view of this, actually. Now, the question with regards to the visibility of the website, the fact that the website is not updated often, I mean, if you, I knew that that makes it even less visible. I mean, the fact of often updating the website helps the website to increase its visibility. I wanted to ask you whether it is still the case. And well, not really, no. No, I don't think this is the case anymore because as I told you, in my view, people will get to your website not through the research engines, the search engines, because you are the first hit among the sisters, but rather because you will get in touch with them with social media, with your activities, with all the other aspects of the digital life that we saw earlier. And then they get to your website to understand who you really are. I think that this is more the case. It's not rather your website that gets in touch with people and then they go to social media. I think that this flow of things is more, let's say, normal. So the fact of having to always update the website, and then you see one section of news, I think that it is really worth including it. But, you know, like the Friars, you see the Friars actually, they all have sections that they never change. They're well done, but they do not change. So they have the description, who we are, the order, vocations, and so on. And then they have a section with all the news. Well, because maybe you have something important to say to everyone. So, but please always consider that website is for outsiders. It's not for you. I'm telling you because I've seen that, for instance, on your homepage of your current website, you also put the chapter, something about a chapter. Now, the chapter is important, but it is especially important for you, for an external people like myself, a young person who wants to know you, who wants to do something with you, but that is not so important. So a news like that of the chapter can be in the news part. For instance, we organize the chapter and so on, but not on the homepage. In the homepage, it is important who you are, where you are, what you do. Again, very synthetically, as we said earlier. So if you then want to put more news that need to be updated, well, you can put a section of news, but I'm sure that it is not going to be the most important one for your website. This applies to the website, but also to the Facebook pages, because the Facebook algorithm has a specific runs in a specific way. So the news that are transmitted do not always reach everyone. So this also worsens with the website. We were also told about the importance of the newsletters. I mean, this sort of package of people that need to be got in touch with through the email with links. And we actually informed them of the news that we gave. Yes, this is really useful because it is very difficult for people to follow news from a website. They never do that because they would need to connect to the website. They would need to get in to find the news. It's the news that instead have to get to the people. In some cases, that happens through the social media, because if they follow you, they will view your news. But as Lara said, not everyone sees that. It depends on the algorithm, on many things. The newsletter is certainly, in my view, a topic, something that is very important to integrate the communication so that you can actually, I mean, people will read your news. If you tell them that you published news, instead of having a newsletter, you could have instant messaging. So you can notify people when you publish something through messages. We use Telegram quite a lot for this, or also WhatsApp, with specific groups in which I notify you that I published these things. So there are these events, these initiatives, but that is the point. I mean, the news have to reach the person. The person will very hardly, you know, go and watch and read the news and look for the news. Well, newsletters are less invasive than messages. Of course, you need to have a mailing list of people who are interested and who read the email, of course. One of the things that is actually done in many websites is to write If you want, you can register and enroll in our newsletter, so you can receive news periodically on what we publish on the website. I don't know, maybe it could be enough for today. I shared some information. I don't know whether we could also share, maybe have the different entities ever wondered whether they wanted to create their website, whether they were thinking about creating their own websites, or whether they have always thought about one general website for the whole congregation, and they thought that that was enough. Italy already has it, because what Sylvia said was about the Italian website. No, it should be the congregation's website, right? But what I saw is in Italy, right? No, what I mentioned, the website that I mentioned is the congregation's website, because I only selected Italian, but you can have all the languages, because I think that it is best to have just one website. The congregation's website, so just one website, and then each will use that website to so that we can, for instance, publish our own news on the institutional website, as we have always done. I think that that is the best solution. I don't think that it would be worth it having, you know, every province its own website. And then we can have links to the various social media of the entities from the website, from the congregation's website.
According to me, I would also think, as Sister Festa is saying, I think one unique website for the congregation works. And then, like the example Sylvia has showed us, they put the link of the different places where we are. They are there, those who have the maybe email address or WhatsApp numbers, like the contacts are there, so that it's only one unique website. Just like Sister is saying, if we create one here in Uganda, one website, then Italy creates another one, then Pakistan another one, according to me, it can bring really some kind of confusion. But one unique one, someone will get all the information about the Dominican Sisters or St. Catherine of Siena. And then if someone is in Uganda, we look for the contact, how to get in touch with them from the given address of the sisters in Uganda. So I think one unique one really is really good. Like for us in Uganda, we had never thought about it, that maybe we create one different, no. I think that one unique for the congregation, it really works.
Well, for us in France, I think that the fact of having one website would work. And also, if there's an Instagram page or a Facebook page, well, we could use that to give us visibility, because it would be useless to create a website for France. But if we could have access to this website and give information about what we do. Marisa, we cannot hear you anymore. No connection. Sister Gazala?
Yes, it is good to have only one website, that is a congregation, then sharing the social media or other social media with the same website of congregation. But being a bursar, I am under the procedure of registering our province as a trust or as a society. Already we have got the certificate. So the demand of the government is also this one, that we have to create website of the trust where we can post our things, what we are doing in this trust. So I think for this reason, in the future, Pakistan will need one website to for the registration of the trust as a trust in the government. We have one to register our province as a trust in the government law. And the one demand of there is to create a website of this trust. I don't know that this we have to create something separate, or we need to create the same, and the congregation is going to create. We can give them the link because we will be also present there. That I have to ask the advisor how they will advise. So, but in the future, we are planning to have a website because it is the need of the registration of trust in Pakistan. So, might be in the future we will have this.
Right. Then if we opt to have one single website, we will need to coordinate. Also how to generate how to give space to the various entities, even though, as we have seen from the example of the friars, the different entities, I mean, there is a link that connects the various social networks of the various delegations, provinces, and so on. Well, it is not possible to put everything on a single website, but it can be, I mean, you can have links. Well, if there is a section on news, you can select the most important news and put them on the main website. Some news from all the provinces, but we need to have someone that actually does this type of job. I mean, we do not have to build it today. No, it was simply, but I mean, we should not be scared. I mean, we will do things little by little. What about the Latin American team? Some of the sisters had already started to talk about the websites. Do you, I mean, do you agree, or do you find any sense in what we said? well, we had already talked about what Sylvia has told us. We had already thought about building a website, a web page for the province. So we are involved in social networks. We also have a YouTube channel. And I think that we should have just one website for the whole congregation. First of all, because we need it. At times people want to know about us, so we simply tell them visit our website. That would be easier also for us. That is why the website should always be up to date. And then we could have our social networks. But then also, how are we going to feed our web page? What sort of information we will put on that? So we will need to share information. We will need to answer messages and so on. And I think that the web page needs to be updated, and it is a major work. May I? I would like to ask Sylvia, what you for your website, do you have people that only do that, or are there people who do something else and they also do this during their free time? Can you explain? Because you said it might look complicated, but maybe it isn't. But maybe we need to only have people who do this full time. If you do not have a news website, I mean, you're not a newspaper, so you do not have to produce news every day. There's no need to have a person doing that individually. I mean, we do not have that. We publish articles, but every now and again. Most of the work is to structure the website at the beginning. Then technically, but also in terms of the contents. So what we write, the pictures that you choose, how we describe the story of the congregation, that is a very long work. But once you do that, you know, adding information every now and again is something that can be done. I mean, you do not need someone doing that always. You need a person that follows the website, a person that consecrates some of her time to the website, in my view, because you do not need to have a website of news. I mean, there are information organizations that base their work on the news that they produce. So you will need specific people, but this is not your case also, because the activities that you do every day, the initiatives and so on, you have them on your websites, on your on your social media. I think that on your single website, you could put some important news every now and again that concern everyone, or that are very important for the individual provinces. So in any case, you need someone doing this type of work, but it is not a full-time job, in my view. All right, if there are no other questions, we have quite a lot to do. So first of all, I would like to remind you the next meeting will be the last meeting in this will be I mean Sylvia has already worked on a document that will be presented to the chapter, and in general with Ellie and Lara we have already you know, seen that. Next week we will share that in the various languages, so that we hope that when we meet together you will have read it well, so that we can share it and see what needs to be updated, what needs to be sorted out of the things that we agree on. And it's the document that was part that had to be presented to the chapter, and we still do not know when the chapter will be held. So we hope that you will be there. And also today, and also Sister Sonia apologized. She said that on the 7th, well, Sonia said that she had another engagement. I think that we can stop here. Thank you, Sylvia. Well, I had had a formation session on the website 5 years ago, and I have to say that many things change. Well, websites change enormously. Please consider when you start building a website and to build it, I mean, when you will publish it, well, just remember that the website will already be old. Well, never mind. Thank you, and thanks to our interpreters, to Claudia and Claudia. Thank you, and see you next time. Enjoy your weekend. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
And we will have the recordings and also the PowerPoint of this presentation, and we will put that on Slack. Enjoy your summer.
In English also? PowerPoint in English also?
You will not have summer. To me, you said for those who will have summer. Yes, I will have my summer. We already have summer here. Enjoy your stay in the family. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
No, wait. Sister Elvira says hello.
Hello. Good evening, sister.
Hello. Ciao.